Hello, Midland Christian family, and welcome to the MCS podcast telling the story of Midland Christian School, past, present, and future. All right, welcome into the studio, and we are fired up today to have my man and a guy I really appreciate, Mr. Doug Rawlins, here with us. Appreciate you coming in.
Hey, you bet.
And,
Thank you.
I look forward to having a conversation today about, all things Midland Christian.
Yes.
But more specifically, I think the academics here at the school, specifically in the secondary, and just some of the strides that we're taking. I got to sit in on a couple meetings last week when we were talking about advancements in science and some of the things they're doing up there on the second floor.
Yes, sir.
And I can see why you get so giddy when you start talking about some of the things our teachers are doing and some of the access we have to curriculum and some of those things. So maybe just tell me first, just kind of, the last couple years, first time we've had you on the podcast.
Yes, sir.
And just kind of the journey, maybe academically, that we've been on. And then maybe looking forward to where we might be able to go.
Well, first off, thanks for asking me in.
Yeah.
I absolutely appreciate it. One of the things that, I can nerd out pretty quick on is academics, because I think it's so important, and I think one of the reasons I get so excited about it, or I am so passionate about it, is my own personal journey was one that I didn't realize till, I was trying to, play ball at Oklahoma State University, that I got told that your ACT score and your class rank and your GPA mattered, but your ACT trumped everything. Well, I never heard that, and that was in 1982, I know, but 40 years later, it's even more important today than it was then. So whenever we come to a school, the first time I came to a school, I thought one of the things that was awesome was, of course, all of our success. The one thing that you can't deny is that everybody in town, because before I came and took the job, I asked what they felt like the best school in Midland was. I stopped at the Quick Trip. I stopped at HEB. I just asked the cash registers, and every one of them said, oh man, Midland Christian School is a place to be. So that got me excited about being here.
Well, and I think you might have told that story when you first took the job.
Yes.
And to be completely honest, I didn't believe you that you would go into those places and just have somebody point blank. I now know much better that story actually happened.
Yes. I like to speak to the matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there we go.
Well, it's been an incredible journey to have you on campus and to get to know you. Where do we stand kind of academically, as a campus? What are some of our strengths, and what are some of the things we're trying to build?
Yeah. One of the things that we got red flagged on from me, nobody else, was on our assessments. We use NWA as our formative assessment. And then, of course, we use ACT, SAT. And whenever I say a red flag, I mean like everything matched, but it was the fact that you could tell real quick that our mathematics was our first big purchase, our first big all-in. You don't want to say kudos to the board because, we purchased hundreds of thousands of dollars of math materials and training to amp up our math first. So we got our math linear and aligned with not only the state, but also with the ACT, SAT. And so then number two, after we got that alignment, we've been doing intense training. And so the next step is to get our reading and English language arts going, and of course our science and our social studies. So we do it all as one, and we implemented some PLCs last year, which we are very much going on the next step this year as professional learning communities, where we can collaboratively engage teachers in a professional manner on what instructional engaging strategies are working and what aren't.
And so maybe drill down for someone like myself, that, I don't have a master's in education.
Right.
And so, PLCs, intense training, maybe tell me, what does that look like maybe in a school year for a teacher?
Okay.
As we're kind of preparing for, how do we teach our kids, the stuff that they need to know,
yes.
The basics. And then at the same time, we are learning ourselves,
yes.
continuing our education.
Yes.
And how does that interact within a school year?
Well, one of the reasons that we want learning to be a part of everything we do is that when we say our mission, live for God, love like Jesus, and learn for life. So everyone learning, but my passion is teaching everyone to read so we can read the Word of God. I mean, period. And I was 26 when I picked up the Word. I knew how to read, and I could read comprehensively. And so I want to give that gift to everybody, because with that comes a lot of empowerment. And so for us, reading with your children 30 minutes a day, or making sure they're reading something that you know about, pretty intense, 30 minutes a day, makes all the difference in the world. I mean, like millions and millions of words you add by just reading, because words beget words, 30 minutes a day. So when we start talking about PLC, that's professional learning communities. That means that I can become friends with you as a technology guy, and I'm a science guy, and I can come to your class or ask you questions about technology that can help me advance my craft. And then you can do the same thing, come to science and say, hey, I could use that to have more fun or explain a concept in my class. So that's the crest of it. We say they're professional learning communities, but like today in our history PLC, I said it's the presentation of the learning content is the magic. And it takes so much time, yes, to grade and everything else, but really planning a dynamic presentation takes time. So we're giving our teachers time to plan what I hope within the next few years, everybody in the whole community will know we have the best lessons with the best teachers and the best students here at Midland.
Yeah, so it kind of goes, back to, I know I have to bring it kind of everything back to coaching, but
yes.
It doesn't matter what you know.
Yes.
It matters what you can teach your players, what you can get your players to know and then
yes.
execute. And so the communication piece is really what you're saying is,
yes.
You start to collaborate with different departments and learn different styles and then different techniques.
Yes.
And then we all grow.
Yes. So like the history and the science, they write so much with their conclusions in their science labs, also with their papers, but make sure they're cohesively aligned with our English curriculum. So that's one way we can compound the learning.
Yeah, and we've been going through, Dr. Anderson and I on the podcast, our ideal graduate profile.
Yeah.
And we need to do a better job of communicating that to our students and community, because every time I get to talking with him or yourself about academic preparedness,
yes,
relationship driven, all
yes.
of those pillars,
yes.
It's like, man, this makes a lot of sense. This allows me to look at a graphic,
right.
And say, okay, am I checking these boxes? Am I putting the right time into these pillars?
Yes.
And then it allows us to check ourselves as an organization. And so, like, really, you look at that academic preparedness pillar.
Yes.
That's really that's your pillar.
Yes, sir.
As
yes, sir.
it comes to
and one of the things about academic preparedness is the emotions that go with it. Because for really great learning to happen, you have to have a lot of failure and confusion. Well, until we teach the kids grit and that emotional just understanding that this is part of learning, then that's when it gets really, really fun to know that failure is the first step of learning. So that was one thing that everybody was about achievement versus growth whenever I got here, because we had high achieving kiddos, but was every single kid growing every single year. And that's where the focus gets back on the kid. Yeah. And the teachers get more passionate about it the longer they stay with it. We've implemented some great tools. Of course, NWA MAP, it has a Edgenuity is a tool that we can plug that into, along with Khan Academy, to where we can do ACT, SAT study prep. We can also do individual growth profiles that, the parent can be the best tutor we have. And that's what we ask for, is that trying to teach everybody to do that. Now, where we at, we're probably implemented as far as tools and everything. We're probably 90% full implemented after 3 years, but we're probably about 45 or 50% there.
You get that NWA report, from their map testing,
yes.
and you can see, okay, this is here are the gaps. Here's where they're excellent.
That's right.
And then to know that, okay, if there is a gap, okay, we're going to move over into this lane, and we're going to apply this resource, and really catch them up, not just to catch up to the average,
right,
but to turn it into a strength.
Well, so say somebody wants to go to a great school like OU or maybe Tech, but anyway, if they do, they're for them to go to where it's not a lot of money out of their pocket, they need to make above a 28 on the ACT, or a 1300, 1325 will get them to where they can get in most places. If you want to go to Texas or some schools that's kind of off the chain a little bit, you need a 1450 or so. But if you start planning that, because it's just achievement, everybody thinks it has something magical, but it's skill sets and achievement. And so if you look at it as achievement and say, oh, this is areas we need to work. So what you said really got me excited to think that here's a parent that looks at it and says, oh, we just need to work on this area. And usually that's it. After you fill one gap, everything else fills faster. And so then of course, a high tide raises all ships. So if you're real high in math, you should be real high in reading. And if you're real high in reading, you should be real high in math. If you're not, the blessing is that we have identified it and become aware of it. So now we should be able to get excellence, because one holds back the other. Your vocabulary holds back your achievement in mathematics, and your mathematics skills of understanding holds back also, like mastering a quadratic equation, for example.
So when we kind of move through our ideal graduate profile, talking with players and Coach Dawson before earlier this week, and it's kind of like, what do we want a Mustang to look like, right? Asking some of those questions. What is the profile we want our graduates to have? Been excited to start planning for graduation this May. Yeah. So I start thinking about that senior class, and what are the things we want them to have accomplished, or at least to have an understanding of, when they walk that stage. How do we, kind of wrap that up? We're building towards that early on. We've connected all three campuses, and they're building from an early age. Right. What are some of the things that you say, here's where we need to focus some of our attention in terms of our ideal graduate profile as we move these students closer to graduation?
Right. We have a Bible department that's excellent. I think Christ likeness is in the heart of every single teacher we have. Being able to sign off that, I'm a believer in Jesus Christ as Lord is a big deal when you're hiring teachers, to make sure that's there. So when we start talking about academically, we want to make sure that we have a good number of students when they come through Midland Christian, that if they want to go to any school, they have that opportunity. We've had multiple merit scholars the last 2 years. We just hope that number keeps doubling, whether it's a full ride to Baylor, or whether it's a full ride to Harvard, or whether it's to go to West Texas A&M. They're all excellent schools, and we don't care where people go to. We just think that for us to serve the community, for us to send out our disciples of Christ, that they're well prepared, and not only well prepared, they are yes or no, sir. They don't get in trouble. They do have that emotional intelligence. They have that relationship driven to where people want to be around them and attract them to lead more people in the kingdom of God.
I tell you that emotional intelligence piece is sneaky in there at the end.
Extreme, yes.
And one that I think maybe when I first saw it, I kind of overlooked. But the more you kind of drill down on the characteristics of someone who is emotionally intelligent, right. It's like, yeah, that's it. That's going to serve you your entire life. I want to ask about, something that is not necessarily new, but just a new iteration of something that we've done for a long time, but just your honors pathway. Some of these for our students who, have desires to achieve at the highest level. What does that path look like for them?
Right. Well, whenever we start out in 7th grade, we do take formative assessment, MWEA. And if you score high enough, you can actually start getting credits in your 8th grade year. You want to be at the 70th percentile or the top 30th percentile of the national norms. Okay. And with those kids, they can take biology, and they start choosing a path that they can actually go into very intense upper level classes before they get out of school. Our calculus is as strong as any math class in the state of Texas. So going from algebra 1, to algebra 2, geometry, pre-cal, and cal, those kiddos will have that opportunity starting in 8th grade. Okay. Same way with science. We can take our honors physics class is probably one of the top, if not the top, physics class I've seen in the state of Texas. And we've been from Cal Allen to Dumas to over at Tyler, Arlington, Plano. I mean, I've seen some really good physics classes, and you say, how can you say that? Well, if they take their ACT prior to taking that class and they take their ACT after it, it's the biggest jump I've ever seen.
You're talking more about growth.
Yes.
Talking about how do we grow students?
Yes. So since we're starting to get the top pretty fixed, and we want to keep focused on the top, we're really starting to build down to where that we can grow kids into where everybody can be exposed. So say that I don't have the habits, just because I may be an athlete or I may be whatever, that I may not have the habits to study to make 90s, to stay on my honors pathway, but I want to be exposed. So if I take a test, I can make a 30 on the ACT, or I can make a 1550 on the SAT. And so how do you do that? Well, you need to take some SAT, ACT preps to where you're not shocked when you walk in that test, and you need to take it multiple times. And then the last one is you've got to be exposed to the content. And so if we expose everybody, with us having the honors path by choice of you making 90s and above, taking hard courses, dude, that's even going to compound the issue, because now everybody can be in there. Like there's some classes when I was in high school, I was in with all my buddies. Well, we were in career agriculture, we called it CVAE, career vocational agriculture education. And so when we were in there, we had the same guys. Well, we were never with the Val and Sal. If we was in, say, advanced mathematics or something like that, we were, but they weren't in my metal shop class, and they weren't. Sure. And so when you take the ACT and you've never been exposed, it's like, oh my goodness, we need to make sure everybody has an opportunity.
Right.
Because here's the thing, it helps everyone when they start looking at, am I going to go into HVAC? Am I going to go to the military? Am I going to go to college? I mean, and going to college, that little number called 30 versus 20 on the ACT around here is somewhere around, $10,000 to $20,000 a semester in financial aid that you can gain just because you achieved a little bit more.
Now you're speaking my language. So Langford girls, listen up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Get on that NWA MAP growth plan.
Yes.
So for parents and students who are listening and say, you know what, I need more information, or, I want to have a conversation about, putting my student on the honors pathway.
Yes.
Where would they go for that information? What would you tell parents about that process?
You bet. So first off, we want to look at their NWA, because that 11th commandment, is those two thumbs coming back at me. I'm not going to kid myself. Okay. So are we prepared? Okay. And if we are, now let's advance in every way possible. So for example, we have some freshmen. There's a class out there we have online through Edgenuity called medical terminology. Whenever I took that class in college, I wish I would have taken it when I was in high school, because it taught you so much Latin and Greek, suffix, prefix, so you could really understand and get the word pictures of what's being asked. Well, where does that help you? That helps you in Algebra 2. That helps you in Pre-Cal. That's going to way help you on your ACT, SAT. So as soon as you can get those classes into your system, and you can take it volunteer. That's the thing that is so magical about with us having technology today. You can get your honors pathway, but by you looking at your own growth path, you can say, hey, how can I improve whatever X may be? It may be in linear mathematics. It may be in, say, fractions. It may be in your vocabulary and reading. And we can go through with accredited classes, and you can use them as electives or just to gain more knowledge, because the real separator, whether we like it or not, is your ACT, SAT.
So what I hear you saying about NWA and our testing is it really allows us to place students where they need to be to get to the next step. And I think anytime you talk about education, maybe at the state level or nationally, people talk about standardized testing, and it's a buzzword. But there will be tests at some point or another, and we want our students to be prepared. What kind of conversation do you have with parents on testing?
The one thing where people missed it in the state of Texas or the United States, and I've been beating this drum for a long time, is that you look at assessment for the teacher, so I can look at you as the student to help you grow. What they did is they put it all on achievement, saying, oh, we've got to hit this, or we have to pass this to go to the next grade level. When you do that, you just kicked yourself in the foot. So now, instead of a teacher feeling great about a kid growing, okay, she's disappointed in her performance about him not achieving what somebody else said he should, versus her. She knows him better than anybody, or the mom knows us better than anyone, right? So when we get focused back on growth, we get to focus on every single child. And so when you start talking about a relationship and emotional intelligence, that's where it's going to be magical, because the relationships are going to be built with the teacher, because she's going to help you grow. I don't care if your average is only 75 in my class. I want you to grow as much as you possibly can. You may grow more than anyone that has an A or is on the very top end of my class, because the amount of volume of information they have to learn to grow is monumental. So the teacher has to stay focused on the top to make sure they cover enough material so the top kids can grow. Well, if everybody's sitting in the same class being exposed, they're massively going to explode in their learning. So we get excited about that.
Yeah, and that's the word that comes to mind. I think about any excellent person that I've been around really excited about the work that they do,
Right.
and has a passion for the industry and the things that are going on around them, and that's something that definitely describes you.
Well, thank you.
Every day, and I just appreciate your your generosity of time and effort to the school,
Well,
and the way that you love on our kids, and just the you're a positive man, and
thank you.
And we feed off of that as a campus, and so I appreciate the effort that you bring to the position and the way that you've blessed our campus.
Well,
And so we will post some of these resources. We'll put a
Yes.
link below the player where you can gain some of that knowledge on our website. And absolutely, I imagine feel free to reach out via email.
Yes.
And talk to our administration about.
We've had excellent conversations with their parents. They come in. We've got game plans for kids at every grade level from 6th grade up. Some are really struggling. Some may have dyslexia. Some may have learning challenges of some nature. And then on the other end, we have some that are hitting 99 percentile. So if you're, they don't make 100.
Yeah.
So if you're hitting 99 percentile
Yeah.
and you want to keep hitting 99, that means WORK. And so we're gonna love on them and love everybody to where we can help develop the best plan. What we want to feel like is we are partners with our parents to develop the best plan to help grow your kids to where what is your goal and their goal. And that's the first thing I ask, because I don't know. All I know is that Midland Christian School is the best place in town, and it's the best place I've ever seen for kids to grow. The teacher's compassion and heart for kids are as good as anywhere I've ever been. And when you put that together with a team of family members that really want to come in and say, hey, let's be what's best, because look at the results of the kids that's graduated here. I mean, it don't stop. I mean, like, the influence just keeps going. If they go to college, they finish. If they go to college, they finish early. If they go to military, they're ranking up. I mean, like, no matter where they're going, it's a foundation of just success that is just a testimony back to, our founding fathers that started this mission and this dream that, hey, we're going to get the baton to somebody else down the road. So
Absolutely. And that's the word, is foundation, and really what we're trying to provide for each of these graduates as they leave here. And a testament to our families that have partnered with the school, and the school partnering with the families. And just a great community to grow and learn in. So I appreciate you for everything. And, if you ever need a good, book recommendation, just drop by Mr. Rawlins' office and he'll get you 2 or 3. And we love you. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
By the way,
Thank
happy
you.
40th birthday. And we're going to work on getting you back in studio
Okay.
for another one soon.
Absolutely.